Hey friends, Lucas Haneman here, and welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday. On a very exciting Tuesday, because yesterday, on Monday, December 9th, 2024, I released my 7th album, my 3rd solo album, called I'm Just One Man. Now, not only am I excited because 7 albums feels like an accomplishment, but also because this album is special. It's an instrumental album that I wrote for everybody to enjoy. You don't have to be a guitar player to appreciate this music. You don't even have to be a musician to appreciate this music. It's simple music. It's groovy, it's funky, it's got great backbeats. And speaking of backbeats, it's also a special album for me because it's a true solo album. What that means is that I didn't hire anybody else to perform on the album or even mix the album. I did the whole thing myself. And many of you who watch this channel probably don't know, but I play lots of different instruments. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Of course, we're going to talk about the guitars I used on the album, but we're also going to talk about the other instruments, and we're going to get started with the drums. Alright, so this is an angle that you guys don't usually see on Guitar Tone Tuesday. So, this is my Ludwig drum set. These are all birch shells. I can't remember the model name, but these were, it's one of the import model lines, but man, oh man, they sound great. Absolutely great. We've got a 10-inch rack tom here, a 12-inch rack tom, and a 14-inch floor tom. I purchased these off my roommate in about 2010, and it's been my my only drum set ever since. I've got the one addition I made to the drum set was this snare drum right here, which is a Ludwig Superphonic. It's the John Bonham snare drum. This is a mid-80s Superphonic LM402, so it's 6.5 by 14 inches, really versatile snare drum. My hi-hat cymbals are Zildjian cymbals. One of them's from the 50s and one of them's from the 70s. It's a mismatched pair, but they're really dark sounding, nice hi-hats. This is a new acquisition up here. This is an Anatoly crash cymbal, which I really, really, really love. 18-inch crash. I've got a 10-inch splash cymbal. Another new acquisition, that's a Zildjian Splash. And over here I've got an old Zen Ride from the 1960s. These were made in England. So nice ride cymbal. And I've got this old Sabian crash cymbal here. And I've got a cowbell. So that's about it for the drums. The drums are always the first thing I record when I'm recording my own music. Yeah, I love playing bass. So yeah, the next step after drums when I record is often the bass. I like to get the rhythm section taken care of first, and then I start adding the layers of guitars on top of that. But this is my bass. I used to have a Yamaha bass, which was a more modern style, kind of a jazz bass style thing, which I ended up passing along to a student of mine who's using it now to record a double album. So that's pretty cool. But a couple years ago, my wife had a student whose boyfriend was just giving this thing away. He had posted it on a Buy Nothing group, and I thought, you know what? I would love to try out a P-bass. I'd never tried a P-bass before. So that's what this is. It's just a no fuss, no muss P-bass that I got for free. And I got to be honest, guys, this thing is super cool. I loved my Yamaha bass. It was wonderful. But it was more modern than the tone I was looking for the music that I've been creating. You know, kind of more bluesy, earthy, funky, R&B infused stuff. So that's what this bass does very well. And it's a brand called Bagavon, which I've never heard of before. I think it's kind of like a Squier type brand, but there's very little information on this bass online. I heard something about it maybe being made in Greece, but I don't know if that's true because there's no indication on this bass as to where it was made. But let me know if you guys do know anything about Bagavon basses. It's just a nice, simple sunburst P-bass, and this is the original pickup that came in the bass. It sounds really nice, really fat, and I've always just loved the P-bass thing. You know, I love James Jamerson, I love Sting. You know, like what more reason do you need to love the P-bass? You know, I think it's really cool. Right now I'm plugged into this amp. It's a clone of a Ampeg B15 that the bass player in my band Martin made. He built it himself, which is really cool. But I didn't have that around for the majority of the recording. I used that amp on the song called Sorrow and Hot Sauce. But for the most part, I actually used this thing right here. You guys have seen this recently on the show if you've been following my videos. This is a Mayfly pedal called the Sunrise, which is actually made to... It's an amp simulator that's made to replicate a Fender Blackface circuit. You plug the bass into this thing and then put it through your DAW, it sounds majestic. It's really cool. So that's what I use for almost all the bass tracks on the album, the Mayfly Sunrise. All right, let's move on to some guitars. How swampy is that, my friends? Oh yeah. So those of you who have been following the channel for a while, you have seen this guitar. This is a 50 or 51 Gibson ES-125. Pretty much all original, down to the dog ear P90. The only thing that's been changed on this guitar is these Grover tuners that I imagine were put on at some point in the 60s because they seem pretty old. But the frets are original, the frame is original, the pickup is original, and man, oh man, I mean, it's just the earthiest, funkiest, grittiest, vibiest thing. So much so that this was the main guitar on all 3 singles I released. It's the only guitar in some songs, actually. All 3 singles I released feature this guitar. So we're talking that song that's kind of been the theme song of this video, which is called Knock 5 Times, which was the 3rd single. It was also the main guitar on New Orleans, New Orleans, the 2nd single, and the 1st single, which was called Texas Barbecue Takeout. This is the guitar. What a vibe. So just to give you guys a bit of a backstory, this guitar belongs to a student of mine, a friend of mine named Barry. And I asked Barry back in May if I could borrow this guitar. So he brought it over, and I had borrowed this guitar before, years ago. And he brought it over, and that's honestly what really sparked me recording this whole album. The sound of this guitar, I wanted that to be a centerpiece of this album. So it is. And I absolutely love having this thing around. Even if it's just temporary, I love having it around. So it's very, very cool. I count my blessings. Okay, let's talk about another cool guitar. So you guys saw recently on the channel that I acquired an Eastman SB59, which is a wonderful, wonderful instrument. Just trying to make sure I put that guitar back properly. I don't want to mess with a 70-year-old Gibson. You guys saw that I acquired an Eastman SB59, which I absolutely love. But when I was recording the first couple songs on the album, I didn't have this. I didn't have that guitar around. But I did have this, and this is an instrument that's, you know, if you guys are diehard viewers of the show, you've probably seen this as well. I've had this around for a few years. I've had it on long-term loan from a former student of mine who actually also sold me this guitar over here, my Melanson, my beloved #1 electric. But this is an old Yamaha Les Paul Performer. And if it's got one thing, man, it's got sustain. It's really incredible. So back in 2022, I was just messing around, and I came up with this song that I mentioned earlier in the video called Sorrow and Hot Sauce. And it goes a little bit like this. It's just a dirty, slow blues, and it's my favorite song on the whole album. And this is the only LP-style guitar I had around at the time. And you guys can hear. It sounds awesome. Now, in terms of functionally, it's a little bit janky. It doesn't stay in tune very well. The pickups are really unbalanced. But I worked and worked and worked to make it sound good in the track, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So this is like, we're talking maybe like a $400 to $600, lawsuit era guitar. Not an expensive guitar, all things being considered. But it just goes to show you, when you're recording, it's about finding the tool that's going to work for the song. It's not about having the most desirable guitar or anything like that. So Yamaha Les Paul Performer from about 1975, 1976. And then the acoustic guitar I used on the album is this thing right here, which is my Peggy White parlor guitar. This guitar sorry, I'm just turning down this Les Paul there. This guitar is an amazing little thing. It has a sound that really belies its size. It sounds so much bigger than it is. It's a little parlor guitar. It has Adirondack spruce top and Wenge back and sides. When Peggy built this guitar for me, she was living in Almonte, Ontario, close to Ottawa where I live. But now she's out in Newfoundland, still making amazing guitars. So let's just hear this thing a little bit too. So all the acoustic guitar on this album is this instrument right here. So you can hear, like, it's got a huge sound for its size. I just love this thing. In a track, when you've got all the other instruments happening, this thing just sits in a mix like nobody's business. So there's the acoustic guitar for I'm Just One Man. So, the other instrument that I used on this album is this keyboard here. I've had this thing since about grade 10. I got into the piano class in high school, and this is an old Casio keyboard. It's honestly a piece of crap. I think I got the keyboard and the stand and the sustain pedal for $200, something like that. But I ran this thing through my Strymon Lex, which is like an organ simulator, and it sounds really, really cool. So it works. Again, it's just another tool that worked in the job. And for me, it's always been about the whole rhythm section, not just about the guitar. So I recorded keyboards on about 3 songs on the album. So that's another element that's in the mix. So there you have it. I've had a lot of fun making this video, guys. This is all the information you need to know about my brand new solo album, I'm Just One Man. Now, the album is available from all the major streaming platforms if you look up my name, Lucas Haneman, and I'm Just One Man. But it is also available as a direct download from my website for $10 Canadian. I'm going to link to that in the description box down below. As always, I really do appreciate the support. If you guys have been checking out this video and if you like the vibe of the music you've been hearing, please do go to my website and purchase it. It would really mean a lot. That way all the funds go back towards me, and there are some costs associated with this album. Even though I mixed the whole thing myself and didn't have to hire musicians to play on it, I did have to get it mastered, and I have a publicist who I'm paying to get the album out there. So I would really appreciate that, guys, if you did enjoy this video. Now, don't be afraid to let me know in the comment section below. Is there something that you enjoyed about this video? Is there something that you guys feel that maybe we could talk about more? Maybe we can talk about these other instruments and how you guys could use them in your own compositions. Maybe we can talk about writing music a little bit more on the channel. Let me know, and until next time, guys, have a great week. Enjoy the new album. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.